hello and a very warm welcome. And as your conference host, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you here on Jam. And over the next 7 minutes, my job is to really help you get familiar with this great interactive platform. So you can see now the vote on the screen. We are looking for 3 words to describe the best aspects and 3 words to describe the worst of events that you have witnessed in the last year or so. Wonderful. So thank you. That's really great to gauge what you thought the worst aspects were and where we think we are improving and the best and that you actually enjoyed. So first, we're going to be hearing from industry peers about their experience and plans for running hybrid events. And then the Crystal team will be sharing how new technology innovations will support the new generation of hybrid events. And we'll finish with a workshop where we can all get involved to help us all share ideas on how to plan and execute hybrid events successfully. Now, I'm delighted to introduce Liz Sargent. Now, Liz is an event and communications professional with extensive experience in designing and delivering complex multidiscipline event marketing, branding, and commercial campaigns.
Dassault Systèmes is one of the largest software companies that you've never heard of. We provide solutions for 3D modeling, simulation, manufacturing and logistics, information intelligence, and social and collaborative processes. Our team is responsible for events that cover 11 industry sectors across 16 countries. So on average, we look after 50 to 60 events a year, a mixture of our own, third-party participation and business partner events.
So obviously today we're talking about hybrid formats, bringing to the mix, and that with the LBS you use the studio hybrid event. Just tell us why you thought to go down the hybrid route.
The event itself was a hybrid event that ran over 3 days. And because we know with the best will in the world, nobody will join a 3-day virtual event, it was broken down into 7 acts, each of 2 hours, allowing the audience to build their own agendas based on their areas of interest. We knew the event had to be virtual, of course, but it needed to feel more of a TV production than home in the back bedroom that we're all getting a little tired of. The hybrid model gave us that. The ability to have Sean in the studio with the green screen was really impactful and gave us flexibility in approach for our speakers. Some live in the studio, others remote with auto cue kits, such as I'm using now.
And so what we would love to know is which areas you think are most important to address. So let's take a look at the results there. Let's see what you thought. Okay, so that's really interesting. So let's look at the top 3. So making the case for investing properly in a hybrid event, coming out there at 20%, but at 37, connecting in-person and virtual audiences, loads to think about there. And that's exactly what we're discussing in the panel discussion in just a moment. So I'm delighted to introduce Ruby Sweeney. He is founder of the Events Hub. Ruby is determined to encourage and support the benefits of online and hybrid events where face-to-face events might not be possible, or they might not be the most effective option. And delighted to say we are also joined by Joe Gilliver, so a familiar face, a freelance producer who has worked for some of the world's biggest brands in music, pharma, animal health and technology industries. How do we make the case for investing in a hybrid event, and how would you advise your clients on which events to commit to going hybrid?
It's so important to start with what the goals of the business or the organisation are. What are we actually trying to achieve here? So definitely start with strategy first. Make sure that you're offering value by having both the in-room and the virtual experience, and recognise that those 2 experiences are different experiences. We can't try and replicate the same experience for both sets of groups.
Yeah, so one of the main things we've been doing, and quite a lot of producers have been doing, as people have got used to this virtual world, is bringing the audience into screen and then sort of bringing them into the presentation as well. So following breakouts, for instance, bringing a breakout host back into the conversation and have them discuss the outcomes with the host. Give the online audience access to unique content as well that is just designed for them, not just the on-demand content, but perhaps more immersive content that's for them. And finally, ensure that that online audience have access to similar privileges that the in-person attendees receive. So Cvent and Uber have recently teamed up, for example, so that when people register, if you are an in-person attendee, you can choose an Uber for your transfer. Whereas if you're online, you can get Uber Eat vouchers, which then means your lunch, dinners, breakfasts are delivered so that it's not coming out of your own pocket and you sort of feel more included within that event.
We've heard how events are changing and we're excited about the future. In the final session, I'd like to present to you some of our thinking on what we think will be the winning approaches for the hybrid era. Studio Hybrid, Match of the Day, and TED Talk. Each one approaches the hybrid opportunities and challenges in different ways. For those of you who've had sleepless nights and stressful days, delivering virtual events from an empty office or a kitchen table, I cannot overemphasize the difference it makes to have crew, client, and speakers together. We are social animals, and most of us benefit from dealing with challenges collectively. We've seen countless times the wonder on a speaker's face when they come into our studio not quite sure what to expect, and how it inspires them to raise their game. Combine that with the additional support that our speakers have, like a professional speaker coach in Sean, able to guide them through a rehearsal, or the opportunity to practice with an auto cue in a rehearsal room quietly on their own, and the results are obvious. There is only so much anyone can do with a speaker with a fridge door full of magnets behind them. Being cruel, speakers at home tend to make a professional webcast look a bit untidy, but once in a studio, the whole thing becomes more harmonious, and the production team can help your speaker to lift their slot creatively. How do we tailor content for virtual and in-room audiences at the same time? This is where the Match of the Day format fits so well. For those who want the full match day experience, including the travel, the tickets, the pies, the singing, the elation, or the disappointment, they will commit a Saturday or a Sunday, a whole day, to a single game. Those are our in-person attendees. But for others, they're just interested to see what happens in all of the games that day. So they'll invest 60 minutes in a highlights package with commentary. Liz spoke about customers with strategic relationships attending her next event in person, while those with a more nascent relationship with her company would attend online for less time. Chris, let me pass you the clicker back. Thanks. Now, obviously, Match of the Day leaves unanswered one other challenge our workshop group identified. How do you make a connection between the in-room and the online audience? Our first step is to create a parity between the in-room and the online audience. Now, you're all using the desktop version of Jam at the moment, but you can also use Jam when participating in person through the mobile version. This covers voting, chat, and Q&A, as well as discussion. And this means that when it comes to asking questions, we can get those questions in the same format, both from those people in the room and those people online. Everyone has an equal opportunity to contribute. One of our unique techniques is to be able to take an audience member and mix them into the webcast. We can get hold of any camera of any participant that has granted access and bring them into direct conversation with the studio or the stage. No need for special Zoom or vMix links that were agreed in advance. It's all handled by the Jam software and can all be done in the instant. Think how powerful it is to be able to bring any one of your participants onto stage to speak with your presenter wherever they are in the world. We need to make a connection between the speaker and the audience, and here I'm focusing on eyeline. For virtual events, our strong recommendation is to use teleprompter to keep speakers on message and to keep them looking at the camera. We do this by putting everything a speaker needs in front of the glass, which is in front of the camera. We use beam splitter glass for this.
On your screen now, you're going to see the top 3 things that you identified as being the biggest challenges to running hybrid events. So what we'd love you to do here really is to share with us some ideas for overcoming these challenges. And the way we do this is simply to type your idea, select the relevant tag, and then click the arrow to send. So that is so brilliant. That's working brilliantly, putting in those thoughts there. So what I'd like you to do now is just take a moment. There's a lot to read, isn't there? Read through the examples and the thoughts that have come in. And what I'd like you to do is to like the ones that most resonate with you. So it could be 3, could be 4. What you're going to see there is the heart icon.
Yes, I think the data on engagement levels is an interesting one. Mm-hmm. I know Crystal have done their own research, and there's a lot of other platforms out there that have done a lot of research, but in the public, there's not really a wide sort of acceptance or knowledge of how engaged people have been. I think data in real person in life events has been there for a long time, but we need to do more maybe as an industry to educate our clients about the fact that these are effective, people are engaged. It just might take a little bit more adoption time to sort of get to where we need to be.
I think the top one there, Sian, so as I mentioned earlier, is just recognising that the experiences are two separate experiences. So we just have to accept that, and we have to plan them as two separate ideas for the people that are joining in. So it's definitely about creating two separate experiences.
Chris, wonderful to see you. You must have lots of comments on what's come through, because it's been a fantastically interactive afternoon, hasn't it?
It has, and it's been great to see everyone's views and opinions. I always think, Sian, that when we're doing events, the worst thing that we can do is try and give our audiences the answer and, expect to get it complete, because I learnt lots of lovely ideas in that workshop, which I'm going to pinch and we're going to use, if that's okay with you. For this event, every 4 minutes, I've been going to check the number of people watching the event, because this event is an opportunity for us to learn, to try new things with our industry colleagues. And we know we're successful if the same number of people are there and the same people are there, at the end of the session and compared to the beginning. And if you just use that one simple metric, are we holding on to people? Are they staying there? Then that is going to really, really help you to guide the development and to make that case for how much engagement you've got.
From everyone here, thank you for attending our Jam Spotlight session. And if you'd like to hear more, please let us know via this survey.